And yes, we are live. And now I have to hand over to the club president, which conveniently happens to be myself. And that means zero transition time. So, so again, once again, as club president, now it's my turn to welcome you all to the meeting. And we have a very special guest with us, Srijita Singh. Please introduce yourself. You're a guest here, otherwise, I know you very well.
Thank you so much. And I am so glad to be here. I have been looking at this club's posters and meeting invites for some time now, and I've been endlessly fascinated with the work and the kind of speeches and content that is happening and being covered over here. And I've recently become a member at Wordwise Toastmasters. So I'm just really, really glad to be here. And thank you so much for the brilliant work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Srijita. It's an honor and a privilege to have you. And I'm sure that you will have a great time here. And for the newbies, Sky, if you could introduce yourself. Veteran quantum leapers know you very well. In fact, you were our first ever keynote speaker. So, but for the newbies, for those who don't know you, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Is this microphone over here working pretty well? Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Sky Nelson Isaacs, and I am a physicist and author of a book called Living in Flow, The Science of Synchronicity and How Your Choices Shape Your World, and a second book called Leap to Wholeness, How the World is Programmed to Help Us Grow, Heal, and Adapt. And I gave a talk a couple of years ago on the beginning of some of my work. I loved being with you guys. I'm currently a high school teacher. I teach at the school my daughter goes to, so it's a really wonderful experience being around her and her friends. And I love the environment. I love teaching high school because it's physics. I teach physics in high school. It's very interactive, very dynamic, and not too heady. These kids are 13, 14, 15 years old. So it's keeps me young. I'm also in a band. Kind of a high level rock band that recruited me last year with some old friends from mine from middle school. So that's been really fun to dive into that again for me. So that's
Yeah,
me.
I know. Okay. Yeah, so I knew you were a musician. I was waiting for that part to turn up. And in one of your keynotes, you linked the frequencies and the
Yeah.
phrasings of music to the workings of the universe. So thank you so much. Funny thing is, my wife, she's also Toastmaster. She is in precisely the same situation as you. She teaches school where our daughter goes to. And she absolutely loves it, being around our daughter, our kids. But unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the daughters. they, they, they hate having their mother 24/7
It
along
makes
with,
sense. I understand. Yeah.
yeah. And when she had applied, uh, my daughter's number one prayers after prayer was, mm, she does not qualify, she does not get appointed. Alas, all her prayers went to waste, and it happened. So,
I
uh,
appreciate that situation, but I'm sure it's a blessing for your wife.
yeah, of course, of course, of course. So, and again, thank you. I thank all the teachers, especially. We need to thank all the teachers because we've lost touch with reality over the throughout my lifetime. We've seen that we've gravitated towards irrelevant sciences and pursuits that have nothing to do with how the universe works and how we are, more importantly, how are we supposed to work our way out of the environmental climate disaster and humanitarian disaster that we are in. I mean, seriously, when I look at my career, I'm a chartered accountant by profession, and only now, after like 25 years of working in this field, only now the accounting standards have started recognizing and merging with sustainability standards. And that's why now, finally, my field has become relevant. Otherwise, I was fond of saying that, when your house is burning, or for example, during forest fires, then nobody says, I wish we had a chartered accountant in the house. So, yeah. we
Yeah.
look for of course fire firemen, fire people. We look for medical technicians. We look for scientists, and we look for doctors in such situations. And where are those? Because all of those fields have been made something of a stigma, at least in our society, and I believe in Asia as a whole. And that is why kids are no longer interested in becoming something meaningful. Everything is just about how much you can earn, right? And
Right.
every study that is invented, every subject that is invented, is designed to make money. So
And
that's unfortunate.
I think that
Sorry.
we, as a society, we tend to respond and react. Capitalism is based on the idea that the market will react, but it reacts slowly. So with something like climate change, you might lose a lot in the 4, 5, 10 years it takes to respond to a crisis unfolding. So we need people also
Yes.
thinking ahead, seeing the future coming and making choices.
Exactly. I think we're slow to react, also because there's some degree of laziness. We don't want to change our ways, and we
No.
know deep down, we all know that we'll have to nothing less than a fundamental change in our lifestyle, in the way humanity lives, will actually come remotely close to addressing the climate disaster and reversing the damage.
And I'll
For
share today a little
Yeah.
bit. My vision of that is not actually fundamentally changing our way of living, but our way of thinking and relating to each other. So
Wow. Well,
topics.
that's absolutely amazing. So we also have our program quality director, distinguished Toastmaster Azam Ali, with us. DTM Azam, for about the 1% that doesn't know you, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, DTM Talabin Hamid. You have already introduced me that I am PQD of District 122, and by profession, fortunately or unfortunately, I am also a chartered accountant, as DTM Tala was discussing. I saw a beautiful flyer of this meeting. That's why I jumped in to listen to the sky, and so looking forward for a wonderful keynote speech from him, and it's pleasure to be the part of this meeting.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you, and back to you.
Thank you so much, DTM Azam, for joining. We have Toastmaster Muhammad Ali. Toastmaster Muhammad Ali, please introduce yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for letting me know about the fact, and thank you very much for giving the opportunity. This is Toastmaster Muhammad Ali. I am engaged in teaching business and also engaged in startup business consultancy, and I work with startups from around the world. And this is a minimalistic introduction from my side, and over to you.
Oh, great to have you, Toastmaster Muhammad Ali, another teacher in the house. So thank you so much for joining. Toastmaster Latif, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Toastmaster Latif, member of Karachi Toastmasters Club. I live in Kuwait, so I have a membership in Bhavan's Toastmasters also. I just love to listen and get more knowledge as much I can. So here I am for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Latif. He's a member of Karachi Toastmasters Club who lives in Kuwait. And so you can see how global this club is, because we have people from which city you're in, Srijita?
I'm in Mumbai.
Okay, so Srijita is from Mumbai, DTM Sarfraz is in Texas, Sky is in Northern California, Saif Ali Sheikh Saab, Azam, they are in Lahore, and DTM Iram and Muhammad Ali are in Islamabad, and Imran Rana is on another planet. So, with that, without further ado, let me introduce our Toastmaster of the day, and This is the part where we go through the whole act of, I'll present a spectacular introduction of DTM Iram Rizvi, and Iram will then say that, "Oh my God, what? Thank you for that introduction." Whereas she would be the one who had actually provided that introduction. But no, this time this did not happen. I did not take her introduction. DTM Iram is a ball of energy. She is a restless soul, and she is um, ultra talented in whatever she does. She is a super mom, and she is a super entrepreneur. She is a super speaker. She is our current uh, public speaking champion of District 122, and she is currently engaged in a lot of training and education initiatives. So, without further ado, let's hand over the floor to distinguished Toastmaster Iram Rizvi.
Thank you very much, President DTM Talha bin Hamid, and welcome everyone. As you might have heard, that I am involved in a couple of trainings and things. So what I have noticed, and most of my learning is from my own failures, my mistakes, and how I fix them. And now most of the learning comes from when we end up engaging with people. And that's the beauty of Toastmaster, that once we are delivering something, once we are talking, we open up a lot of doors of hearing the comments and experiences, and that changes our perspective. Recently, I have noticed, and that's my theme of the day, are things really black and white? Are things really that simple? Do things really fall into a right-hand bucket and a left-hand bucket, or there is something more to it? In our lives, it looks like when we are teaching our kids, especially the young ones, that there is something which is good and there is something that is bad. But is that really true? The role of perception really plays a huge role. That there might be a person who is hero in one story, but he would be a villain in another story. And there would be a set of people when they're sitting and discussing his personality, that I do agree what Imran Rana did there, but yes, he might have thought of these feelings, this might be going on in the background. So we always stay somewhere in the middle, which is called gray. And life is around gray. It's not black and white. Imagine, and we do say, and we believe that our legal systems, our judiciary systems are all around black and white. But we all have noticed that there is an element of emotions, element of neuro, that things changes, and there is a result that comes out in the end, the judgment that comes out in the end, which is not exactly black or white. It's usually mix of colors of gray. Imagine the world which is just painted black and white with no colors in the middle. And that's what makes us different from the other species in the universe. The mix of colors, and things are not always black or white. If this was true, then there would be one person in the world who the whole world would hate. And there would be one person in the world who the whole world would love. But there is always a mix of things, because our colors, the shades of how we see things, depends on our perspective. And I'm very glad that our theme of the day and the keynote matches today. And this is what we see here today. There is a group of people that's going to come up with their perspective. And the beauty of Toastmasters is that we take things on as it is. This project would be taken as per today's performance. The evaluations would be done on today's performance. The best speaker, the best table topic speaker, whatever we do would be on today's performance, irrespective how this person has behaved, have done the performances, have done their speeches before. So we go ahead evaluating, judging, voting, and learning as per what is happening on the window of our screens today. So welcome to you, all of you, to the amazing meeting of Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmasters Club. And I'm quickly going to introduce a couple of people, just take out names of couple, shout out names of couple of people who are going to help me out today. First is our general evaluator today. Are you present? Toastmaster Imran Rana. He's going to take notes of the things that's going to happen in the meetings, and in the end of the meeting, share his report on how we have performed and share some feedback that how we could be better from his perspective. I have someone who's going to support us for half of the meeting, and that is the language evaluator for today, DTM Sarfaraz. Could you please explain your role?
Thank you, DTM Miriam. As language evaluator, I'll be listening to the good usage or the bad usage of the English language. And also I will be providing the word of the day, which I just posted in the chat. The word of the day, or the word for this meeting, is extol, E-X-T-O-L. Simply praise enthusiastically. And the example would be, based on what has happened so far in this meeting, we cannot extol enough the virtues of the President and VP Education of Quantum Leap.
Wonderful.
Back
Thank
to
you very much, DTM Sarfaraz.
Back to
A very quick, thank you. Very quick round robin. Who would like to use the word of the day? That is extol, which I have already done it in different forms, and such a great what is it? Just extol? How does it come along if you want to say it in past or present, DTM for Sarfaraz? Sorry, sir, you're muted.
No, extol or extolled.
Extolled. Okay, it's the same way pronounced. Does anyone want to use it for the word of the day? Extol, extolled.
Okay, I would like to. Okay, Toastmaster Mubina would like to.
आज मुझे ना अपनी बहन के साथ अभी जाना है, उसका फोन आया कि मेरे इधर आ.
Okay.
Toastmaster Mubina is actually on extol descriptions of where her sister is about to leave.
Yeah. So,
yes, Kai Nelson, yes.
I would like to extol my daughter for taking an AP advanced placement class in high school, her sophomore year.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Very difficult, but she's doing a good job.
Congratulations.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, DTM Talha bin Hamid?
Right. In Toastmasters, we are in the habit of extolling the virtues of each and everyone.
Thank you for being so gray and not black and white. Toastmaster Mubina, are you here with us? Toastmaster Mubina? All right. One more I would want. Toastmaster
Miriam?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Toastmaster Mubina. Could you use the word of the day, extol, which means praise enthusiastically?
I can extol only you, Iram.
Oh, so sweet. Thank you. Yes, DTM Sarfaraz.
I was going to say another word that can be used in place of extol is Imran Rana.
Whoa, thank you. So we are too great today. Thank you very much, DTM Sarfaraz. And this is the beauty of colors when they're not exactly black or white. Gray and not being black or white also means to have double meaning, triple meaning words and conversations, and you pick up from your perspective. So I remember a few days back, my daughter, she saw this video on net and she copied it out. And it was when I said, she was very happy and saying, I'm pretty. And my husband said, really? Who told you? And she said, Mama said I'm pretty. And I looked back, I said, I didn't say you're pretty. I said, you're pretty annoying. So she said, I want to focus on positivity. So that's the beauty of not being black and white, that pick up the things from your perspective, and you can either make your life motivated and positive, or you can make your life miserable along with it. So thank you very much for joining Toastmaster Mubina. She's the poet of our club. She's somebody who's a melody when we hear, and I'm going to pass on some role to her so we can see her perform. I'll message her up. And welcome Amra Yunus also to our club. So moving on to our next part, I would like to now invite our speaker of the day. And this is very exciting to have him with us again. And again, that's the love that he has with physics. That's the love that he has with science that he comes upon whenever we call him out. And today Sky Nelson Isaac is a theoretical physicist, speaker, author, and musician. He has master's degree in physics from San Francisco State University with thesis in string theory and a BS in physics from UC Berkeley. Nelson has dedicated his life to finding his own sense of purpose, beginning as a student of the yogic master Sri Swami Satchidananda. Yes, I got it. When he was less than 5 years old. So he's also the author of the book, Leap to Wholeness, and it's amazing to have him here with us today. What I really love about this guy is that I have a fanship with Big Bang Theory, and whenever I think of Sky Nelson, it's him. So I hear those certain words and then I go back watching an episode and it feels so wholesome after hearing his talk. So Nelson is going to today talk about style, emotion, and wellness, sewing up polarized conversation. So over to you, Sky Nelson Isaac.
Thank you so much. That was really a generous introduction. It's just great to be here. I feel like this is becoming family for me. So thank you. You can hear me okay? Loud enough? Okay. So I want to talk about style, emotions, and wholeness. And I appreciate the desire, the importance of staying away from things that divide us, whether it's politics or religion or other things that are polarized. But that's kind of the point here, is to bridge those polarized gaps and not take one side of the story, but show how we're actually able to bridge that. So hopefully this is a uniting conversation that connects us. A little bit about me. You see my screen, I guess. I'm the author of 2 books, Living in Flow and Leap to Wholeness, based on the science that I've studied for a long time of time, really, because study synchronicity, the timing, divine timing of events in our lives. And timing is like time, right? So I studied the physics of time. I published some papers on that. And then I live it myself. I experience cyclical, surprising, meaningful events, which I would call synchronicities. And I try to make sense of them. And why is this event happening in my life right now? How does it help me? If it's a seemingly bad thing, could it be serving me in a good way? It's a good thing, or it's neutral. How do I make sense of my life as it happens, rather than just looking back at it? I'm a high school physics teacher now, which fell on my lap a couple of years ago when my daughter started high school. She didn't have a physics teacher, and I said, that used to be my job many years ago. I guess I should do it again, and I do love it. I'm a husband, a father, and a political activist. And this talk is really based off 15 years of phone calling. It's my way of getting involved, is making calls to people in the US mostly, around my country, who are different sizes of issues. And I call because it's a meaningful way to talk to people, right? I have an agenda usually. I'm in support of some measure or some politician, but I actually really learn a lot from talking to people and learning about their lives. And I've learned that I'm often not right on the issues. Like I learn things about their side that opens my mind. So I think it's really been healing for me and gave me a sense of security to realize we're all kind of crazy and we're all kind of connected. So I want to start with an experiment. I didn't share my sound, but you can see on the right there's an experiment we do in class on the physics of polarization. And I have the device here. Where's my block? Here we go. You can see on the right, I'm not going to try and do it because it would take too much time to set it up, but here's a styrofoam block. And I have some wool on my wool sock nearby. And I rub the styrofoam with the wool. You might know that creates a charge. You see the diagram on the bottom here. There's a styrofoam plate that gets some extra negative charge. Those are called electrons. And then I take the plate, which is metal, conducts electricity, and drop it onto the metal charge, the styrofoam charge, and it doesn't charge the plate. I want to be really clear what it doesn't do. It doesn't charge up the plate. It polarizes the plate. It pushes the negative charges away. So it's still neutral. On the right there, the metal plate is still neutral, and this is an important point. But it's the charges have tried to get away from each other. They tried to separate, as we often do in our world. We try and separate ourselves from people we don't seem to agree with. And then there's this discharge. We touch the plate, and the charges want to get away, so they go to me and into the earth, because I'm connected to the ground. So there's this force of polarization. It's based on electrical charges. It's neutral overall, the plate, but it's divided. You can see the metal plate below has positives and negatives equal amounts, but they're separated in space, pushed apart. The polarization is context dependent, meaning the charge on the top is dependent on the charge on the bottom for its meaning, for its energy. If you just had the negatives there, it wouldn't be polarized. You have to have both. And then there's this process of tension and release that cycles. You know, you can charge it up, discharge it, charge it up again, discharge it. And it's these are the aspects that drew me into thinking about this. And it made me wonder, why do we use the word polarization when we talk about politics or social issues? It's actually quite similar. And you did see this spark there, right? When I touch it with my finger, there's a spark that jumps across the gap. The key elements of political polarization are actually pretty much the same, right? The emotional charges. We're polarized by issues that happen to be emotionally charged for us, ones that really matter to us for deeper ways than just the logic. And at least in the United States, we're pretty neutral overall. It's 50-50 around a lot of these issues. But we're divided. We identify with certain groups of people on certain issues. When we have a friend that believes something, we're good friends with them in all ways, but they just believe something different on this one issue, whether it's taxes or government spending or any number of things, climate change. That one thing, we might think that they're crazy and we might decide not to ever talk to them again. In that context, we can't understand their view at all because there's this emotional charge. So we separate out socially into these groups that we're divided. And yet overall, there's this neutrality. Nobody's right. We just have these different contexts. And there's also a cyclical tension where it builds up and there's elections and situations that come up that are very polarized and charged, and then it diffuses again when the election happens, or, you know, charges and discharges. So there's moments when we're really charged up, other times when we're just forgetting about those issues altogether. So this is interesting to me as a physicist, because when we can relate to things like this with physics and then the emotional chaos in the world with politics, I think drawing on the physics can help us. It's disinterested, right? It's objective in a way. So I'm interested in understanding the source of conflict. Where does this polarization conflict come from? So why did I talk to voters? As DTM Aram said, I find it's often our perceptions, not real differences, that divide us. What I think somebody means by that, or what I think is going to happen as a result of what they're saying. But not real differences, because if I really look at some of the conversations I had with people in West Virginia, for instance, I learned that they care a lot about the environment. It's a state that's very focused on coal as an industry, but they do care a lot about the environment. And I was realizing that we're not actually that different, just have these different contexts. So when Chris and I talked to for a long time, cares a lot about our family, about traveling the world and exposing your kids to new things. A lot of values that I share. But we live in these different contexts and we have different views on the politics. What's the right policy? So it's nice to realize that I'm a little crazy too. You know, I learned from a number of people that my view on, for instance, coal industry is limited. I just don't know that much. And or the gun industry, like I just don't know that much. And so for me to have opinions that are strong, it exposes my ignorance in a way. And it's helpful for me to realize that, because I relax into my own humbleness and say, oh, you actually have a whole world that I don't know about. I'm going to listen a little bit more than I was before. So it's nice to realize I'm a little crazy too when I learn from someone. So it made me wonder, you know, how do we become friends or enemies with someone? Enemies is in quotes, right? So I thought back to my first and only fist fight as a kid. I had a brother who was older who used to hit me, but that was more like loving fun. I would hit him back sometimes. But Chris was a kid at school that I remember intervening in him picking on some other boy, and we got into a back and forth fight and chased each other around the school. And swung our fists and rolled on the ground, and he pinned me down, and I lost. Lost that fight. But what was strange to me was that he was, my memory is he was not a close friend, but he was a friend of mine. Lived on the same block. I remember his house. I know exactly where it is. Came over to my house at least a couple times. When was it that we became enemies? What was the context that happened, the shift? Was it just that moment on the playground? Was it just the situation? Why did we become at odds with each other like that? It's confusing. There's another boy I was bullied by, and really one of the only really explicit moments of being bullied around at school. I think I said something mean to a girl in class, and this guy Josh came up to me after class in the locker room and pushed me up against the locker and grabbed my lapels and just held me up against the wall and said, "If you ever say anything again, I'll, come get you." And I was scared. But what was funny was that Josh was this kid that I used to ride with on the school bus. We had a long ride, just a couple of people, 20 minutes out into the rural area. And we weren't like meant to be friends. He was a farm kid. He drove ATVs on his property, and I was kind of a nerdy kid. I played computer games. But we got along on the bus, and we had fun together. So when did we become enemies? What was the dividing line? What changes in a situation to make someone an ally or an opponent? I think this question is really good to just leave open. I don't have an answer, but I don't want to answer it. I want to make sure it stays open. My hope is that by repairing relationships through curiosity, our individual relationships, we can offer insights for healing global relationships. Because those global relationships are just a reflection of what we're doing in our individual lives. I think that's a view that's also held by many traditions and wise teachers. So there's three things I noticed in all my conversations around polarization that made me really hopeful, actually. Because when we're caught up in a topic, we get worried that we're really we disagree on this issue. We're never going to agree on gun control, or it's a big one in this country, tax codes, or climate policy, or whatever it might be, immigration policy. But I realized one thing that came to mind is some of these conversations I had are about personal style. Like Josh and I are just different kinds of people. And someone I met like him, like Kristen, who's in West Virginia, this woman who I talked to on the phone, she used to talk about people being, businesses being like kids on the playground. They just need to duke it out themselves. Business policy should be just letting these businesses figure it out. And that's one point of view. That's like the kids on the playground who just want to figure out who's in charge, versus the style of wanting to really get to the truth of the matter and have regulations and people like teachers come out and help get people get along. So some of these policy divisions that we have as adults reflect the same things that we do on the playground at school with the kids. And I think that's really hopeful, because it's not actually about the policies, the wars and stuff. It's about who we are on the playground as kids. And then our emotions, our emotions are a big part of the polarizing things that happen with Josh and I and Chris and I, and also on the news these days. But oftentimes they're misattributed. And so we have to ask ourselves, what am I feeling in this situation? What might this other person be feeling? An example of a guy I was talking to about climate change, trying to understand his distaste or his disbelief in climate change. And I kept sort of arguing with him about it and not getting anywhere. And finally, I realized that he was very staunchly conservative in his financial views, fiscal conservative. And I really respect that. He was really concerned about how much we'd have to spend on climate change if it was a real issue. And I could suddenly understand how this other topic, which I really respected, was affecting our ability to talk about climate. And so that helped me expand my context so that we could have a conversation that was respectful and understanding. And finally, wholeness is my big topic, talking about we're all connected in certain ways. How can we we have limited perspective, how can we expand that? And so I'm going to talk about these three things: to SEW, or sew up these polarized tears in our relationships. So this is my family. I want to put some pictures of our style. We're traveling over the summer, last summer in Germany here. I'm at the top looking over Heidelberg, I think, in one of the castles. I just appreciate being able to express my style there. My wife is on the bottom in Amsterdam. We met a friend for dinner by accident, and there she is, enjoying herself. My daughter in the upper right, climbing a tree near Newton's house in Cambridge, UK, London, near London. And on the bottom is Edinburgh, where I went to the Harry Potter Street, Diagon Alley, the original Diagon Alley. It was inspired by that. So just, fun stuff. Our style is what makes us happy, right? It's how we like to be. And we all relate to life differently. And when we look at these decisions of like Kristen in the coal country in West Virginia to support a certain candidate or be against a policy of retraining coal miners for new types of jobs, or how businesses should relate to each other, or whether there should be government regulations. I also think that she lives life differently than me. She relates to her experiences in a different way, just as a person. She wants the independence, the freedom to think for herself, and really values that. And I'd value that too in different ways. And so this reflects how she looks at policies and how she looks at collective taxation and these many issues that involve government involvement. So we relate to life differently than each other. And this is reflected in what we think the government should do for us and how other people should be in the world around certain issues. But again, it's not necessarily the issues, it's actually more about who we are as people. Back away from the issues a little bit. One more thing about style, actually. I ran into a girl named Darby when I published my first book in 2019. She was a friend of mine, or sort of a colleague from middle school, a friend of Josh's. And we were very different. She was in a different social group. She was much cooler than I was. And we ended up reconnecting around my book. She said, I love synchronicity. I'm all about that. Everything happens for a reason. But I really disagree with you about politics, And I realized that we started off on these different communities, different social groups many years ago for certain reasons. And we ended up sort of in these different political groups that were very similar to how we started. And yet we could connect around the things we're interested in, around synchronicity and the meaning of life. So style has a big impact on our choices. And misplaced emotions, maybe you're not having the feeling that you think you're having. You think you're upset about a particular issue, like my friend James, who was upset, I called in probably Wisconsin, upset about climate change, but he was really upset about government spending. And so there's this bleed over, what are we actually fighting about? What's the emotion we care about, and versus what we think is going on? So something underneath that might be coming up for us that we could be more aware of to have a better conversation, more meaningful conversation, and share that. The more we can share what's really going on for us, I think the better we are at connecting. And finally, wholeness. Perspectives are shaped by what is shown and also by what is not shown. Last year, my wife and I and my daughter, Ellie, went to the Washington, D.C., capital of the U.S. And it's actually a picture of the White House where the president lives. And I was shocked. My jaw dropped because it was so uninspiring. Right over here to the right of the lawn is a bunch of office buildings, just right up encroaching on the White House, like really close. And over here on the left side, there's the same thing. Just things surrounding everywhere. And I always thought the White House looked like this. It's like majestic and far away from everything, like on an island. But this picture is framed so that there's fences right on either side and right behind you. So you're just seeing what they want you to see. And just a few feet away, you get this shot. or this shot. It's almost the same position, but just not the same. So context makes a big difference. So what are we repairing? We're repairing connection. In terms of wholeness, how can we broaden our understanding of what's being said or felt by the other person in order to reconnect, expand our worldview. Because when we're connected, differences don't really matter. Darby and I, as adults, we were connected around a passion for spirituality and synchronicity, and we didn't really care that we had different views on who should be president. It didn't really divide us. It was kind of fun to talk about a little bit. We just avoided the conversation. We could learn from each other. So when we're connected, I think differences don't really matter. So can we move from from judgment to curiosity to unlock connection? That's what I want to leave you with here. Ask yourself, what am I missing? Why does this person think this way? What might they be feeling that's driving this conversation? What peripheral issues may be connected that we haven't talked about? They're kind of invisible. And can I expand my perspective by integrating their framework into mine? This doesn't mean agreeing, changing, giving up your perspective, but becoming more whole by expanding and including more possibilities. Niels Bohr, the great physicist, developed this idea of complementarity. I'll say it again, complementarity. That should be your word of the week next week. And it means two things that are both true and yet are contradictory. They complement each other. So position is something you can measure in space. The momentum is also something you can measure, the velocity of something. But if you measure one, you disrupt the other. You can't actually measure both at the same time. So as quantum mechanics expands a single framework to include both position and momentum as uncertain, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, giving us an ability to write laws that incorporate multiple views that are contradictory to each other. Just as our society can incorporate views that are contradictory to each other by being more connected to each other, and that repairs the connection. So respecting differences, finding common ground. That's what I want to share with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful presentation and perspective. We are going to now open the floor for question and answers. If there is nobody going first, I have two questions, but I'm going to start with the first one and bring my second question later. Am I allowed? Thank you. So Nelson, Sky Nelson, I have a question. So what I have learned in my journey is that we take data in three forms. First is, if the person who is sharing the data, we like him, we admire him, and whatever he's sharing doesn't hurt us, we will agree without checking that the facts are true or not. Second, if we are not very sure of that person who is sharing the data, we will just take the data based on our mood at that moment, that whether we want to agree with it or not. Number three is what affects us, is that if somebody doesn't like us, then whatever we share is wrong, whatever we share is crap, and doesn't even need a bit of acceptance of there is a work done behind it, and it's usually taken as false. It affects all of us every single day. How to handle this when you have done a lot of work, when you have created data, but people hear you from these three perspectives, and what should one do that it shouldn't affect them, that it's okay that people think from these three sides?
Are you wondering about from the speaker's perspective or from the listener's perspective?
From the speaker's perspective, because it matters to us what people think of us.
Right. I think what comes to mind is the hidden emotions that people have. So if I have an underlying conflict with a family member of mine, these can go on for a long time, right, underneath the surface. And it's hard to hear someone at face value when they've got some hidden agenda or you've got some feelings about resentment. And the more we can be open ourselves and honest and express appreciation, we can express appreciation even when there's a lot of animosity. There's always things that we can appreciate about people. Or we can express our uncertainty even when we're clear on our message. There's things we're uncertain about. So we can express our humanity through appreciation and uncertainty, even when it doesn't invalidate what we're saying. It kind of makes us more believable and trustable. What do you think?
Thank you. That's wonderful that we should share irrespective of people think. But however, my key takeaway would be from your answer is that we can't change the world, but we can try to be the change that we want others to bring. So I could try that, even if there are people that I don't like, I don't agree with, I have this whole perspective about them of negativity, I would still try to listen to what they're presenting and give them one of those statements that, by the way, I don't like him, but I agree with what he has said. So at least this could be tried out by us so that could be replicated in the society. I would now, and Toastmaster Imran Rana knows that I was pointing at him. So now I'm going to request DTM Talha to share his question, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, DTM Miram, and thank you so much, Sky, for yet another completely different and unexpected keynote. You mentioned cold calling. You've been cold calling people a lot over the past years for political campaigns. So I would just like to learn, how do you make them listen to you, especially someone who is not at all willing to take a cold call or not willing to engage at all, really. It does not have to be limited to just calling, but in any situation. How do you hook them?
It's a great question, because the answer has to do with what we just talked about with Aram. I'm actually curious about them. I'm actually uncertain about my message. I never call for something I'm absolutely sure about. I think I know what's the right thing to do on climate or with a politician, but I don't 100% believe in every politician, in any politician. So I'm emotionally tied to the path that they're on or the party, but I'm not actually certain that I'm speaking the truth about it, that it's the best. It's certainly what I want. So there's a humility for me, even though I'm determined, that I'm curious about their view and I'm open to hearing and learning. And I think the genuine desire to understand and change my view, if I can't change my view, then maybe change theirs, opens up their curiosity as well.
I think that's a great learning, that when you call someone, you're not just there to tell them about your cause or your campaign. You're curious. I love that, by the way. You're curious about it. You want to listen to them. And I think that's something we can all take away from your answer. Thank you so much, Sky.
Thank you so much, DTM Talha. And I agree with that. We all would. That usually when we call people or we try to contact them, it's usually, listen to me, I have something to share with you. But if we could just have that 40-60% of that, let me hear out your point. And then probably in that call or in that conversation, your perspective might change. So I would now like to request Toastmaster Srijita to share her question. You had a question, right? Yes.
Oh, yes. I do have a question, which is slightly different. My point is, what we covered in this keynote really very well explained to us what kind of perspective we should have when we are engaging with someone who differs from us in so many ways. Now, in conversation, we often find ourselves tongue-tied because we don't usually interact with people who are very different from us. Now, Toastmaster Sky has experience with that. So my question would be, what actionable tips for conversation or interaction would you give us to be able to engage with people who differ from us politically or in any opinion-based way?
Who would differ from us, right? Not our friends.
Basically, people from another polar end on issues.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when I've done this outside of intentionally calling a list. I think it's been a part of my life. I think being willing to talk about things that matter, doesn't have to be charged, or you don't have to know that you have a different view, as long as it matters to you or matters to them. I do ask people sometimes questions about so what's your favorite like, instead of saying what do you do for a living, like what do you like to do, sort of what matters to you, and or even in political conversations, being willing to just inquire about what's meaningful for them. And I think the purpose is to get out of the head and the ideas about what people think, more into what they care about in their heart and their feelings. Does that speak to you as well?
It does. It does. Thank you. Thank you so much for your answer, and also for this beautifully insightful and deep keynote, because this speech brought to us a view of personal harmony. And I loved the point that you made, that global relationships are a reflection of what we're doing in our personal lives, because that is very true. And it's actually very interesting to see things that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. One last question. Does anybody have any other question? Yes. Does anybody have any other questions? I'll just throw up the last one. All right. So Sky Nelson, there is a cultural difference between when you're born, brought up on your part of the world, when you're teaching and you're upbringing your kids, and you talk to them about, it doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter. You stay in your beliefs, you stay in your perspective. But in our side, when you talk to people who belong to the other cultures, especially where we all belong to, we talk about Gulf, we talk about Pakistan, India, these places, we are taught from childhood, what would people say? Behave the way how people want to see you. How do you handle, as a speaker, as a trainer, as the person with that larger perspective, that there's a cultural difference, and what could we do different where we have been brought up to think and keep in mind to behave in a way what people think? So we have a lot of polarized personality in ourselves. We are not ourselves most of the time, compared to the culture where now there is a lot of hype. There's been a lot of education on, be yourself.
I think it's funny when you say that. I feel like, oh yeah, that's true, and it's also something I struggle with. Even as in my culture, if I'm taught that, I'm not taught that all the way, right? There's an expectation that I'll hold a certain type of job, or I'll keep following a certain path professionally, or what people expect of me. There's a general sense of we all want to do what people expect us to do, whether it's society or our close friends. And when we want to grow into who we are meant to be for ourselves, who we discover ourselves to be, speaking for myself right now, maturing to the next level of who I'm going to be, involves disappointing a lot of people around me. Just they're going to be surprised by me saying no to things they want me to do for them, or hearing what my curiosity and desires are right now for my life. Who knows? And so I think disappointing people is a big challenge for me as well. But I do feel like it was given that gift of that's valuable. Like I didn't have to dig too deep for it, but it is still hard for me. So that doesn't quite answer your question, but it does sort of say there's not maybe as much difference as you might imagine. Still,
yes. Quite an extolling answer. And by the way, I have a couple of friends. Two of them are very close to me. One was from Italy and one was from Amsterdam. And dear Toastmasters, you won't believe how similar their culture is, but how similar we are. They do have that same thing, what grandma's saying, what father's saying, father-in-law, mother-in-law. But it's this generation that has actually stepped up, most of them, that we are going to break that cycle. And toxicness is literally in all the cultures. However, we see that we as a culture, when I talk about us here, we are still lacking, because we forget about this thing many hours in a day, that we don't have to care about what people are thinking. It should be for the happiness of the family, contentment of our own self, and having peace and harmony. There is a point, very short, for 1 minute, that Srijita wants to add to the question that I have asked. Would you please just add quickly?
I just put it in the chat.
It's okay. Just say for a minute. I would love to hear.
Oh yeah. So as public speak, like your question was that there are three ways people usually perceive us, and based on our credibility, they will either believe us or disbelieve us. Now, as speakers, there are three approaches that we can use to convince people or to better their perception of us. And they are ethos, pathos, and logos. So, ethos means appealing to our ethical credibility, our achievements, and our knowledge, our prior knowledge of what we are talking about, or exuding a sense of authority. Pathos is appealing to people's emotions, like the point you made that people will either listen to you or not listen to you based on they're feeling. So the key is to make them feel a certain way by use of your words or your language. And the third approach is logos, which is an appeal to logic. So you construct your arguments or your points in a way that makes sense to them. So even if they don't like you, they will have a question in their head that, oh, she's making sense. So they are tuned to listen to what you're saying. That is one
Wonderful.
point that I had.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And we have a keynote lined up. DTM Talha, if you allow me. So, right. So do ping me up. I'll bring you up my number. So let's stay connected. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sky Nelson, for that wonderful treat. We'd love to have a longer session, but we are short on time. But I'm so glad that we have doors open to drop you a message, ask you questions. And if that would be great if we could do that. Thank you so much. Is there anything in the end you want to share? Any closing line? Sky Nelson?
You can email me through the synchronicityinstitute.com website, synchronicityinstitute.com. Email me. I'd love to have a conversation. And I think I'll sum up in response to what Srijita said. Don't underestimate the power of just who you are as a person. I'll tell a very, very brief story. I don't think I've ever won an award that I expected to win. But last month, I won the award for Best Decorated Door at my school. That was because the students I invited to decorate my door did a great job. They included my face on it as an elf. And it was me on the door, but it wasn't me accomplishing anything. It was just me being me, smiling and being there, being present.
Okay.
So that's how we make a difference.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Insightful, a great beginning for the weekend, by the way. So thank you. And now we're going to move towards our next segment. And before that, very short, we're talking about black and white and gray. And by the way, dear Toastmasters, we have some very basic emotions that creates and the basic emotions that every human being has. And in fact, these emotions are also found in other species. That is happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, fear, and disgust. Yes, I got the inspiration from the movie Inside Out. But these are the basic 6 emotions that even animals could feel. What are the other emotions that is specific to human beings? And I would like to hear a shout out. Unmute yourself and say, what are the other emotions that are very specific to human beings?
Envy.
Yes.
Pride.
Sorry?
Pride.
Yes. What else?
Resentment.
Yes. Good going.
Appreciation.
Appreciation. Yes.
I cannot find it in English.
Anxiety.
But, it's like
What is
Gio or
it?
Gio or Ginedo.
That's not an emotion, that's an attitude.
Live and let live.
Live and let live. Yeah, that's an attitude. But in interest of time, I'll quickly
Right.
shout out the 27 emotions: admiration, adoration, aesthetic appreciation, amusement, anger, anxiety, awe, awkwardness, boredom, calmness, confusion, craving, disgust, empathetic pain, enchantment, excitement, fear, horror, interest, joy, nostalgia, relief, romance, sadness, satisfaction, lust, desire, surprise. And by the way, with these emotions, when you mix them up, now again, this is black and white, right? There is an emotion, that's an emotion. But still, there is a situation, for example, you talk about a quote from your passed away, deceased grandfather who was very close to you. So that moment, you have nostalgia. You're talking about a time when he gave you that quote and was explaining to you. The same moment, you feel warm and awe that, something that is so related to life you could share with your children. The same moment, there is a sadness that he's no longer there with you. So the mix of emotions actually end up having another emotion, which many of them we do not have names for. But at the same time, we could feel happy, we could feel sadness. Most of the time when the sadness comes, we feel happy that, we have got that. We are thankful on certain moments when we are hit with pain. So the mix of emotions makes us further human being. And that is what really relates to that the world, emotions, ourselves, we are not black and white. We are a combination of a lot of colors, a lot of emotions. For this, let me move on to the next segment of our meeting today, which is a prepared speech. We have one prepared speech today, and we will be using our very special modular evaluation tone for that, for which we have one lead evaluator and then we have 4 modular evaluator, which is done only in this particular club, and it's been brought up by DTM Sudarshan, thanks to him. So what happens is that one speech gets a real good evaluation in the meeting itself by dissecting its part. So we were expecting DTM Ajay, but thank you very much Toastmaster Latif for stepping up as a lead evaluator. And I would like to invite you to share the objectives. And if your team is not available, we can shuffle up a bit right now and get your team on board. So over to Toastmaster Latif as the lead evaluator.
Thank you, DTM Eram. So may I request Saif Ali Sheikh, Mubina, and Imran Rana. So Imran Rana and Eram Rizvi are already have their camera on. So Saif Ali Sheikh and Mubina, if you both can switch on your camera.
So both of them are not there, but we do have a Toastmaster Khurram. And we do have a Toastmaster Srijita.
Okay.
So Toastmaster Khurram, would you be available for being one of the modular evaluator?
Yep, I will be there.
Wonderful. The Toastmaster Latif, can you let them know which evaluations they have to do?
Okay. So, and I think you did not ask Srijita. Srijita is already, yes? Okay. Fine. So I will, okay. So ladies and gentlemen, dear honorable guest, today it's an honor to evaluate distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid. He's going to be, his speech objective is all about connect with the storytelling. The speech length, for timer, please note, it is 5 to 7 minutes. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. And for the evaluators, it's not a customary Toastmaster meeting. It's an advanced Toastmasters Club meeting where we have a lot of evaluation for the speaker to take. So today it's an honor for me to be the lead evaluator. So I will be taking care of many of the aspects of how it felt and by the speech, but the auditory will be taken care by Srijita Singh. You will be given a minute where you will be just talk about the auditory part of the speech. DTM Eram Rizvi, you will be having a visual part. Yes, Toastmaster Khurram, you will be talking about the perceptible, and language and structure for Imran Rana.
Language evaluator. I had visuals, right?
No, your visuals are blind-tided.
I can shuffle with the Toastmaster Imran.
Which role do you have?
Toastmaster Imran, you can take visual, I'll take language and structure.
Yes.
Okay, so by the time distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid sets his camera, I will just announce him and the speaker. Title. Distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid, The Devil on the Road. The Devil on the Road, distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid. Over to you.
Okay, am I audible and visible? Okay. It was a hot and humid August afternoon. Rivulets of sweat were running down my back. I was standing on a signal on my motorcycle, waiting for it to turn green. Cars were honking, buses were rumbling, birds were walking. There was an air of doom and gloom everywhere around. Everybody was just rushing to get wherever they wanted to be. And so was I. So as soon as the signal turned green, I tried to kickstart my motorcycle. It died with a hiccup every time I tried to do that. I was in a panic because the light was about to turn red and the bike wouldn't move. But then, thankfully, miraculously, it started and I jumped ahead. Only because the signal had turned red, I was moving against the traffic. A burgundy red crossover SUV rushed towards me. It was supposed to cross the crossing on a diagonal, but it reared towards me. The face of the driver was scrunched up in anger and disgust. And his front fender swished past me a distance of mere millimeters. The resulting gust of wind knocked me and my bicycle on my back. And as I lay on the ground, as if in slow motion, the burgundy SUV rolled past. The window rolled down, and the driver was shouting something at me, making some gestures. As people gathered around me, I first tried to pick up my motorcycle and then checked whether any bones were broken. And I kept asking myself, why? What was my fault? Flip. It was a hot and humid August afternoon. I was waiting at the signal. Rivulets of sweats were rolling down my back. I was in my car, and as it happens, Karachi had precisely the weather where air conditioning refuses to work. I was seething inside because I had a board meeting coming the next day, and I was supposed to be grilled for some unrecovered balances that I had absolutely no role in. Everything seemed super negative. I had the beginnings of one of my famous migraines. I was feeling stuffy, and my nose was clogged for no apparent reason. I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and everything that was happening with me closed in on me and my mind in the form of a darkness. And that's why, hello, darkness, my old friend, come to speak with you again. I could feel that one of my depressive episodes was just about to start. And suddenly, like a faint star shining in the gloom, the light turned green. And I pressed my accelerator and started on a diagonal trajectory across the crossing. When suddenly, this idiotic motorcycle came right in front of me and cut me off. I abandoned my plans to reach home. Instead, I went after that motorcycle rider. I veered my vehicle and I almost hit him, almost by design. My fender ended up few millimeters away from his motorcycle. And then I saw the most satisfying sight of my life, the bike rider crashing to the ground. As I passed alongside him, I told him, that should teach you a lesson. This is my right of the way. That is the green light. I'm supposed to go here, not you. What were you thinking? Did you want to kill yourself? Well, I did half the job for you. Unfortunately, I had to cross the crossing, and the bike rider survived. I could see in the rearview mirror that he was getting up. People were gathering around him. And I thought to myself, I must be an angel, because what I had originally planned for him, I could not dare repeat here. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, have you ever felt victim to road rage? Have you ever come this close to being hit by someone or something for no apparent reason? Have you ever stopped to think, were you at fault or whether it was someone else's fault? And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, have you stopped to think whether it was something on the road or something in your mind that was causing you all the trouble? Fellow Toastmasters and guests, which side are you on? Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Over to lead evaluator.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid, for such an engaging storytelling format, and lucky for many of us, because you have shared the impeccable story of, like, we all drive, or we all are by the side of the passengers at the passenger seat, but we all have our opinions of how other people are driving, and we don't even look at our self in this. But I really love the way you shared the clarity of the speech, the comfort level, the vocal variety. I did not feel anything missing in this, because it was all about storytelling, and you kept us engaged all through 7 minutes. Now, if I have to give first and foremost, I should not say many things about it, because I have a lot of people sharing your speech about it. But I really love the way you shared in the pace, because many a times when we take a longer pause or longer feel, it goes disengaged. So the way you stood up and delivered, and the message which you have shared, that if you should not take a hasty decisions right there and then, makes a very good takeaway message at all. So this is just small insight from my side. I really love the story, I really love the message, and I really love the way you have presented. Now it's time for me to invite the auditory part, and that is our new to us Toastmaster Srijita Singh. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm doing this for the first time, so please excuse me. I'm going to wing it, but yeah. First of all, starting with the positives. Pauses were brilliantly done, Toastmaster Tala. You paused at all the right times, as to when the signal was on, when the bike was coming in, and at every single moment, your pauses were opportune and well done. Onomatopoeia was very well done. The sound of the bike that you made. Um, and now coming to one suggestion that I have. It's not really a feedback or in response to something that needs to be done better, but an addition to what you're already doing well. So the point that I have here is to inflect more. So you had the tone of your voice, which was bringing up emotions. Now those emotions were sounding performative, because though they were performed, but the way they can be made to sound genuine is by bringing in more inflections into the way we pronounce them. So doom and gloom, to intensify a little bit where you say it. For example, when you said seething thrice, right? You said it so well. You were like seething and seething and seething. That is the inflection that we're looking for, that emotional toning in the words and phrases, which makes storytelling very powerful because we connect by emotions. So your goal was to connect, and those inflections are what will enhance your speech to like a very good level. So yeah, that's what I have.
DTM Talha, we have one more. Distinguished Toastmaster Iram Rizvi for the language.
Thank you. He's playing around with the modular evaluators today. Thank you very much, lead evaluator. So really brilliant use of language. It starts from the topic itself, the devil on the road. So I really enjoyed when it was announced. It really rang that, something is coming up in the structure and language itself. I like the way that hot and humid August afternoon, air of doom and gloom, as if slow motion, it rolled past by. All of these were the structures was amazing. I like the way the language was used. I do not find any area of improvement over there. In structure, I like the way how the setting up was done, the introduction of the characters was done. You brought in the situation, and then there was, of course, the plot, the climax, and the closing. However, in structure, I feel that the closing part could have been more, 20 to 30 seconds more, because the time frame given to the other part of the speeches, the closing message part was slightly shorter, probably more of self-reflection, feeling embarrassed of what you have done. All of that could have really ended up in a much better structure, but that is me nitpicking. Brilliant job done in the storytelling. Over to you, lead evaluator.
Let's move ahead with the perceptible for Distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid's speech. Toastmaster Khurram Chisti, please.
Thank you, lead evaluator, and thank you, language evaluator, to take the perceptible part as well, little bit. So the so my part, first of all, great speech, good message delivered. As a overall, if I look into the speech, yes, the title and the message in the speech speak to each other, yes, but obviously there is always a room of improvement. I believe first part is the transition between the start and the body, and the transition between the ending. It's all blur up together. It could have been a little bit more, either the pauses or the story breakups, in a way that the transition could have been better. And lastly, I will just quickly repeat myself that it suddenly stops. So we were enjoying, we were expecting more to come, and it suddenly over to lead Toastmaster of the day. So that could have been a little bit more stretched, and we enjoy a little bit more of the message. That would be great. Thank you. Over to lead evaluator.
Before I go ahead to visual, I just want to add, because I have a memory loss problem also. Toastmaster Khurram, you have to attend Karachi Toastmasters meeting, because many a times we feel like Distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid will keep saying, and sometimes it doesn't stop. So join us, and you will enjoy. You will really enjoy. It will go.
He is taking the feedback from there and implementing in Quantum Leap.
No. Right now, this one is those directors which says no, which does not end, which keeps it open for the audience to decide whatever they want. It's like this. So let's move ahead to the visual part of the speech. Toastmaster Imran Rana, please, over to you.
Okay, please confirm my audibility and visibility.
Okay.
Hello, am I audible
Yes.
and visible?
Yes, you are, Imran. Now get on with it.
Am I audible and visible?
I swear you are.
So that's why I just... Okay. So a brilliant speech you just delivered. Your visuals were perfectly aligned with your speech. The way you use your hand gestures, it shows your confidence. Your vocal variety was perfectly aligned with what you were saying. Okay, just wanted to ask one thing. First, you were riding a bike, right? And the car just give you a dodge, right? And you just you were right on the road, right? So
Yes.
did the driver came? What did the driver said? Some positive remarks or the negative remarks?
Obviously, they were negative.
So the gesture could be, it should be like that. And
Well,
while
I couldn't show the real gesture.
and while you were riding on the car and you just dodged the bike rider and the rider was on the road, you may add the gestures like this. You are living in Karachi, right? So those gestures were missing. Overall, a wonderful speech, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And believe me, most of the time I have to ride back with him, so I can imagine. So I was all engrossed in that speech. A wonderful speech, I must say.
Thank you, everyone. I really love the way each and every perspective or every part of the evaluation was shared. Srijita, thank you very much for encouraging us with more of the intense emotions which are always required. Intensity is the must. And I feel why I'm sharing his name, because her name, because it has given a more value other than the other. What we have said is all normal Toastmaster speeches where we say it was very well energy, good to do, and everything. Thank you very much for giving us this kind of insight of adding up while delivering the speech. Thank you. My question before asking distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid for his view, you were in Karachi, where
Yes.
we have traffic lights over there.
Everywhere.
Everywhere? Okay, over to you.
Yes.
Share your feedback about it.
You've been living in Kuwait for too long, Latif.
No, whenever I go Karachi, I don't see traffic lights. I just go around.
Well,
Over
you
to
have to look. You have to look around. So, okay. So first of all, thank you so much, everyone, for that exceptional feedback. Yes, of course, the ending was a little abrupt because I was seeing the time. I'd already nearing 7 minutes, and the last thing I wanted was to be disqualified. And yes, that also shows that it could have been better planned. I really felt sometimes you don't really know until you deliver. And from the audience, from what everyone said, I felt that yes, the speech could have used a longer conclusion, a smoother conclusion. What I did was by design, by the way, but I think that it fell short of. And about the rest of the feedback, yes, Srita, of course, the point well taken about inflections. Really didn't think about it, but now I will consciously think about it and hopefully will be able to implement it. Everyone else, I think, a great feedback. Uh, I think I've done a speech after quite a long time, so it was refreshing. And of course, looking forward to implementing this feedback and inflicting another speech upon all of you. Over to you.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid. Again, I say it's an honor from listening to you and having always a different side of the speech. Always, it's really lovely. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, lead evaluator Toastmaster Latif, for a brilliant evaluation team job done there. And thank you, DTM Talha, for your project. We just had one project for today, so now we're going to move towards the next segment. And again, that is very advanced segment of Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmasters Club, where we have the speech followed by the evaluation, and then within the segment in itself. And you're going to see that today when it is done by one of our top champion speakers, somebody, whenever he's on the stage, he creates that symphony of beautiful, structure and language. And of course, in his appearance in itself. It's always a pleasure to see him whenever he joins us, and he's fighting the odds, signing up and logging in right now. So thank you so much for your passion towards supporting the club and being here. So passing on the stage to Toastmaster Khurram Chisti as a table topics master.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Welcome, Toastmaster, to the most excited and excitementful session of the day. I hope so that the theme of the day was not been selected after the Toastmaster of the day bought a top with black, white, and gray arm. Because I was just thinking that she's having a black hijab, and I put on black and white just because of the theme. But I just see while she is looking into her son, I think so the theme is come out of the market shopping afterwards. But it's fine. Let's have a fun. So how we are going to do it today? Yes, the session will be as Toastmaster Iram Rizvi said that we are going to have the speech and the evaluation, but it will not be the questions, guys. It will be more scenarios with me. So let's look into the scenarios and we'll see who is there today with us. Is Toastmaster Danish Azmat? Are you there with us? Toastmaster Danish.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
unmute yourself, and if is
Yeah.
it possible to see you?
Yeah, I'm very much here. Just hang on. Let me.
Okay, if is it possible to put on your video that, yeah, Toastmaster Danish, thank you very much for being here with us. A scenario for you. So you are going to get married to the most beautiful lady in the world, and she hate gray areas. Please propose her in black and white.
Okay. Wow, you really put me in a tough spot, but let me figure out whether I will be able to, get her round through my pickup lines. And okay, so yeah, definitely I am by nature is live in black and white most of the time. But world does not live black and white. They most of the time live in gray areas. So let me just approach to her. So, sh should I imagine she is standing in
Imagine
front
me,
of?
even though I'm not that beautiful, but let's put it that way.
Okay, okay, okay. So, uh, how's your day today? Tell me something about your life. What's your hobby? What do you do? It's quite a generic question. So, at times,
I do whatever I like.
okay, it is
What do you
not going
want?
to have a, yeah, it is not going to, okay, I am not having a question and answer session here, right? So, I will definitely ask her about her hobbies, about her likes, about her whatever she think about love, life, and a potential partner. What kind of quality she is admire of, or what kind of trait a person possess. So definitely, I'm going to evaluate her thoughts, her philosophy of life about these things. So these are basically my, way of approaching her, and she will pretty much disclose all the things through this. So I will come to know, or at least I will get the sense or iota of something that okay, what is basically what kind of thing she possesses, or what is basically her orientation of life. So this is pretty much the same. If I approach to her, I will definitely ask this question to her and ask her whether she will be a right match for me. Because according to me, marriage or relationship with girl is all about companionship, and rest of the other things do not really matter in the longer run. So this is how I evaluate whenever I have intent to engage with anyone in any serious and longer relationship. This is what I believe.
Thank you, Toastmaster Danish. I hope so. Your marriage proposal is not ending up as a Toastmasters master speech evaluation, and you might not be disqualified at the end of the day. the way you are approaching a beautiful girl in the world. I seriously suggest you to think your ways. But
Yeah,
let's
but
put it
actually, I
that
I would
way.
like I would also like to add one more thing. With this notion and with this state of ideas, I'm not going to get married for sure because most of the people are going to reject me because people are have a different mentality these days.
Mind test, yeah. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Danish. Now we'll move to is Toastmaster Amara Yunus is there with us.
Amra Yunus, yes.
Yes, I am here, very much here.
Hi, Toastmaster Amra Yunus. Toastmaster Amra, would you please do the evaluation 30-second for Toastmaster Danish? And then I will tell you your question.
Right. So Danish, well, you performed well, and you had you utilized the full time which was used, and I appreciate your presence of mind as well. What could have been more better if you have added some more dialogue, and have talked to the beautiful girl of the world, most beautiful girl of the world, directly, and have persuaded her that you love her more than anyone else in the world. So yeah. Yes, over to you, Danish. DM Kota.
Thank you, Toastmaster Amra Yunus. Toastmaster Amra Yunus, now we will just flip the coin. And while flipping the coin, we'll put you in a kind of similar situation. And we'll ask you now, you are sitting with a very nice marriage proposal, but now you're going to tell a person your terms and condition in black and white. If he agree, then you will only get married. Put your black and white conditions for a person proposing you.
Sure. Thank you. So, well, so I'm supposing that you are the person. So, well, yeah, and I can spend life with you, and I can date you. But you have to have something. There is a list of things that you have to be on. So first of all, I'm not habitual to get up early in the morning, right? I leave for office at 8:30, and I would like you to have breakfast ready before I get up. So I think it will do. On weekends, I have been cooking on my own, but after marriage, I would like you to do this job for me, because on weekends I want to join. I want to work for my Toastmasters speeching. I want to work on my own things. I'm not saying that you take me to the shopping more often, but at least a year you have to be. I don't go for very expensive brands, but I like to be doing these things. So we'll share. So whatever expenses come in the shopping, we'll share. It's okay, but you have to. Yeah, I sometimes cry without any reason, right? So don't be. You have to have the handkerchief in your all the time so that you deal with the situation. And one thing more, I'm very much close to my mother, and that she would be with us maybe more often in a. So over to you. Yep.
Thank you very much and very specific terms and condition, guys. Very well done. I will request again Toastmaster Sujata Singh. Is it possible to have you one more time here? Toastmaster Sujata? Okay. By that time, we'll move to another part. Toastmaster Latif, can we have you back on stage?
I think it will be difficult for him because he messaged that
Okay.
he's at work.
Toastmaster. Okay, then let's take Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid then in that case. Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid, can you unmute yourself?
Okay.
Okay, so Toastmaster Talha, you are late.
Wait. Don't I have to evaluate first?
Yeah, sorry, appreciate.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay, okay. So thank you, Toastmaster Amra Yunus. And first of all, I love the way you confidently tackled the topic. You got right into it. I think that's one of the most valuable traits in a table topic. You're not really expecting I have a dream or a world championship winning speech. The main thing that counts into table topics is your presence of mind, and your flow was really very impressive. And one improvement area that I would suggest would be to bring more vocal variety, because what you were saying was very vivid, humorous, but somehow the tone sometimes did not match it. So that would be just my feedback. Over to you, table topics.
Thank you, DTM Talha bin Hamid. DTM Talha bin Hamid, you are very late in the night reaching home. You explained to your wife that I was with the office colleagues, official dinner, XYZ. You try to explain it black and white, but she sensed something gray in that. Convince her it's black and white.
Honey, I'm so sorry I got late today. I told you, right? I sent you a message. You only read it after 2 hours. Why did you read it after 2 hours? You were busy yourself, right? So you could be busy and I cannot be busy? That's not right. Also, I hated every minute of the dinner. Believe it or not, I never enjoy anything without you. It was an official dinner. We first had to gather in our office. There was a small cake cutting ceremony. That we moved out to the seaside and did some barbecuing there. And after that, it was a catered meal. Um, there was live singing as well, and there were fun and games. We then had ended the evening by going to the movies. And but you know what? I hated each and every minute of it. All the time I thought about you and you alone. And at no point I could convince myself that all this was happening and I was supposed to enjoy it. People even asked me, Talha, what's wrong with you? Why are you not enjoying all this barbecue and catered dinner and movie and cake cutting ceremony and award ceremony? But you know what? Without you, there is nothing. And that's all I can say. I wish that in every such outing you could be with me. But unfortunately, our office does not allow spouses to join because there would be a conflict of interest. So I'll be careful next time. Over to you, Table Topics Plus.
Thank you, Toastmaster DTM Talha bin Hamid. Here, where the experience meets the situations. So let's move on. Toastmaster Sujata, would you please,
Srijita. It's Srijita.
Srijita? Apology
Yes.
for that. So, Toastmaster Srijita, would you do 30-second evaluation for DTM Talha, and then I will have one small question for you.
Yeah, okay. Um, the table topic was brilliantly done. It was so smooth, and like Toastmaster Adam said, it was very smooth. It was convincing and persuasive, and very like packed up all the lady love's concerns into very nice pockets, and then addressed them very well. The only point that I had was the tone in which it was conveyed was this suggestive tone, which could have probably made the wife go, there's something more gray there. Why am I hearing this way? But yeah, but it was very well done. I loved it. I loved how well it was presented. Thank you.
So, Toastmaster Srijita,
Please, nothing
how?
related to marriage, please. No.
Okay, so how looking the things in the life just black and white impact the interaction with others? Is it beneficial or limiting?
Brilliant, Brilliant. Thank you so much for that really insightful question. And as a psychologist, or as a psychology student, I come here with a perspective that is more nuanced than usual, because when we look at life and fields and certain situations in black and white, we immediately put ourselves in polarized positions, because either you can be with me or you are against me. And this immediate us versus them divide creation is the beginning of all kind of conflict. And I personally believe that looking at situations in black and white is clearly limiting, because yes, it does give you a view of the polar ends of the spectrum, but in this pursuit, you miss the entire spectrum, the entire middle of the spectrum. And today's theme has also been talking about the gray of things. And this is in psychology, we have this fundamental belief that reality is constructed from perception, and everything in certain amounts or to a certain extent is gray. So to be able to see things with the nuance of subjectivity, that yes, someone else might see the situation very differently than I do, and they will obviously have a response that is very different from what I have, is an ability that makes us connect with others. For example, even today's meeting could be viewed very differently by very different people, but we all come together to value each other's opinions and differences, and that is what makes us a team there. So that is my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before going to the next evaluation, Toastmaster of the day, can I have one or two more questions?
You can have one more, because we also have Geek of the Week before general evaluation.
Okay. So is Toastmaster Sky is there with us? Sky, are you there with us?
Sky Nelson. Yeah.
He is online, but
Okay. So we'll move to Toastmaster Imran Rana then. Toastmaster Imran, would you do 30-second evaluation for
Okay.
Toastmaster Srijita?
Thank you so much. So Toastmaster Srijita, what I love about your speech, that the way you speak, it shows your confidence on the topic. And since you are the psychology student, so what you explained was in detail, and it was quite perfect. And I thoroughly engaged in your speech about the explanation. Uh, your hand gestures and vocal variety were perfectly aligned with what you were saying. The only suggestion I must say, since you were explaining the topic, maybe could have come up with your own personal story that could add great impact. It would create more interest in that. Overall, a wonderful speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster Imran Rana. The question for you is that it's often said that art is more emotionally expressive when it's black and white. Why?
Quite tricky, or I must say, a very difficult question.
You're thinking to get a wifey question.
It's quite difficult to explain this. Could you repeat the topic once again? Sorry.
It is often said that the art is more expressive when it is in black and white color. Why?
Okay. Thank you so much. I am very fond of art, but unfortunately, I am colorblind. So whether it is in black or white or green or in any color, it will remain the same for me. So it is rightly said that art can create a great impact, and it explains you very well. Like you can express all your uh, emotions and your feelings on the canvas. Since it doesn't speak, it doesn't have has the tongue or voice, but 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 it speaks louder than voice sometimes, or maybe most of the times. Although I have never visited any art gallery, but it's true that 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 art has a great impact on people's life. Uh, it is the emotions of the artist that it present on the canvas. Means whatever the situation, whatever the what do we say, whatever his feelings, whatever going on all around the world or all around his area, uh, it it presents on that canvas. So over to you, table topic
Thank
master.
you, Toastmaster Imran Rana. I would request Toastmaster of the Day, Ram Rizvi, to do a 30-second evaluation for him.
I think Danish is back.
Danish is back? Okay,
Yeah,
yes. He will evaluate.
Okay.
Closing the
Okay.
circuit, yes.
So, Toastmaster Danish, would you do 30-second evaluation for her?
Yeah,
For
first of all,
Toastmaster Imran, for him, yeah.
first of all, Toastmaster Imran and if colorblind is a news for me. But anyway, the way he put the entire his case, it's quite interesting and engaging. Once he started speaking about the art and how artists should put it in black and white, it's quite on spot on, I must say, particularly because the way he put it, the lesson I learned from that, since an artist should reflect the true picture of the society in which he or she is living. So what I strike, he should be an artist should be put everything in black and white. This is what he tried to communicate. He's on spot. He said everything. There is a fluency in his communication, and the most interesting thing about Imran Nana is his smile. Actually, I'm always inclined towards his smile, and I really attract towards him because it's very difficult to maintain a smile while a person is speaking. So for me, yeah, he did a brilliant job.
Thank you, Toastmaster Danish, for the brilliant evaluation. Toastmasters, fellow team members, white is not the absence of colors. White is the presence of every color in harmony. We learned that one in grade 9 by the color wheel, but we often forget that one in our life. Black is not the absence of colors, but the absence of light. And gray is a mix of everything in the world. So all the colors of white and the black gives gray. So I believe that we enjoy all the colors while we are talking black, white, and gray. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much. An amazing session, and we could see that streak of championship, of confidence, of intellectualness through Toastmaster Hurram Chisti today. Thank you very much for sharing. And let me quickly move on to our next segment. And before that, when we talk about black and white, of course, we are talking about clarity and simplicity. And I did mention that we don't see that even in our legal system. While we are talking about, and while we are doing the legal system, please go ahead voting for the best speaker, and you can do multiple choices over here. The science you understand, because we usually vote for ourselves, but this way we get the actual winner when we vote for two people. So please go ahead voting multiple choice of winners here. And in the meantime, see, this was great. This wasn't yes or a no or a one person. because understanding that people do have their biasness, they do feel that we were a better speaker. But this way, we have cracked the system with a grayness by bringing in multiple choices. Thank you very much, President Talha bin Hamid, for doing this. There is a moral conviction when we talk about black and white. And the example is that today we heard in the keynote that the political movements are usually done based on binary. So you either love a political figure or you hate them. There is no such thing as in the middle. And that's the whole aim of political polarization, that they make you feel that, you know, it's this person is absolutely angel and this person is absolutely devil. And that feeling drills down to the public, to the normal citizen, that even if there is a difference in a family, it creates a hardcore hatred and discomfort if you are politically not in the binary, if you're politically in the binary. But actually the political system was made so that people, they take care of certain places, certain beliefs, and come together for the goodness of that community, that nation. But however, again, that black and whiteness in political system is actually disrupting us rather than bringing us together. And that's an area where the gray needs to come in, that we understand that one person has a good side of service and would also have a biasness of service. So let's move towards our geek of the week, and that is DTM Talha bin Hamid. He will be taking 3 to 5 minutes to share something geeky, what has inspired him in the last couple of days or weeks. And over to our president, our mentor, everything else. Fill in the blanks. Thank you. Over to DTM Talha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, DT Amiram, for those kind words. Today, I'll be showcasing a book that I'm reading. I hope everybody can see my screen.
It is black. Yes, it's there. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's the latest story collection by Stephen King. And one reason I love short story collections is that they present an author's talents and brilliance in bite size, relatively bite size. You don't have to read a big novel. And Stephen King's short story collections are always considered one of the benchmarks. And this one is no different. What I did recently was that I actually uh, bought a tablet for reading because I've discovered that the phone no longer works. And of course, paper books are environmentally unfriendly and everything. And with all the distractions and notifications, I was really losing reading time. I had a big habit of reading, but now it takes me months and months to finish a book, which is a tragic state of affairs. So, a separate device that's not connected while you're reading, no matter which device it can be another phone, it can be any other screen that you have, it can be even your laptop. Just make sure that it's not connected to the internet and pinging you with notifications while you're reading. So this is how I was rediscover the joy of reading, and there could be no better book because I've just read 4 or 5 stories so far. I'm completely hooked. One story is where there are two best friends. One is an aspiring writer, one is an aspiring artist. They're small town buddies, very ordinary. And suddenly one night when they're out in the woods, something happens to them, and they turn into uh, superstars. And what was that thing? That is something to behold. It is absolutely amazing and thrilling. Another story that I'm in the middle of right now is that it's about a person, a janitor who works in a high school, and he actually dreams about a murder and reports it to the police. And can you guess what does police do? They mark him as the prime suspect. And I'm in the middle of that novella. I don't know how it ends, but it's absolutely gripping. So I couldn't recommend this book high enough. If you are into slight bit of horror, psychological thriller, Stephen King, by the way, contrary to popular opinion and contrary to impressions, I believe he's more of a science fiction writer than a horror writer because most of his master works are actually sci-fi works. The Stand, It, they're not about monsters and demons. They're about some advanced species, but also, of course, he remains a master of horror. So I couldn't recommend this book enough. If you want something thrilling and wonderful and cozy to read through the winter, and if you're interested in this sort of thing, if you're interested in fiction, I would highly recommend this. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, DTM Talha bin Hamid, for sharing that. And I'm sure we all are at least going to go online, have a look at it, and take away the science fiction part of the author rather than the horror part. So thank you very much. Now I'm going to take the opportunity of giving my closing comments, because in the interest of time, I'll be handing over the charge to the general evaluator, and he will be handing it to the president. So if allowed, general evaluator, I can do that. So I'll give my closing remarks before giving it to you. So while we're talking about black and white today, we have seen that once this topic comes up, within a couple of minutes, we will contradict ourselves. There are matters where it has to go black and white. There are matters where we will be forced or in fact teaching the grayness of that matter. And for example, there were historical movement. And we all know, we have heard that, we have read that, we have heard even from our grandparents that there's been always a talk about slavery and freedom. Many countries, they still practice it, and we stand for its right. Slavery is wrong. Freedom is right. But what do you say about the modern labor rights? Isn't there exploitation? Don't we see that now, while we have shifted to online works, there is no work-life balance? We have to be there responding to every single thing on WhatsApp messages or Teams or Slack. Is this actually called freedom from slavery, what we are doing in today's labor time? This is exactly what black and white is. We contradict our lifestyles. We actually contradict the way how we work, how we talk, how we think. While we are teaching our children about freedom, we ourselves are slaves of modern labor. And by the way, modern labor doesn't just mean the jobs that we do. Even the entrepreneurs, the businessmen are the part of modern labor, which they were standing for against slavery a couple of decades ago or centuries ago, when their parents and their ancestors have done. So this is how black and white is. Our lives cannot be defined in black and white or even gray, because we contradict our perceptions and we change them. The only thing we need to take care of, that while we are making these decisions, we stay close to our morals as much as possible. We stay close to harmony, we stay close to contentment. And that should be the key of life, rather than putting everything in the brackets and buckets of white and black or gray. Thank you very much for listening to me and being part of today's meeting. I'm signing off as your Toastmaster of the day and handing over to the final segment of general evaluation by Toastmaster Imran Rana. He's not a distinguished Toastmaster, but he is a dynamic, and awesome, and everything else that you can bring in the gray area, because he leads us, he mentors us, he's somebody who really inspires a lot of Toastmasters around. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran Rana, for taking up the role. Handing over the charge to you as General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, DTM Aram, for such a warm welcome. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, we had a wonderful meeting. Okay, so we are in the general evaluation segment. So where I will take reports from the facilitator and give my final overall evaluation about the meeting. So I don't see DTM Sarfaraz Nazir, so can we skip the language evaluator
I have
part?
the report. I will quickly share it with you. He has shared it up with me before leaving. So DTM Sarfaraz had said that language good use that's been done. In chat, he liked the post from DTM Talha, which said, notice Sky's cadence. That was a very good use of English over there in a really short form. DTM Iram Rizvi during Q&A said crap. It could have been taken negative word, but in this context, it was appropriate and required to explain that thought well. Toastmaster Khurram used a good use of blur. Word of the day was used in the round robin. However, later he couldn't notice much. I did use STO modi twice. That's the report from DTM Sarfaraz.
So thank you so much, DTM Sarfraz and DTM Iram. Okay, so now it's my time to evaluate the meeting overall. We had a wonderful and beautiful gathering. I would like to thank to Sky Nelson about his keynote speech. And the keynote speech provide extremely valuable insights into the critical interplay of style of emotions. I really liked the final conclusion that differences don't really matter. So I really loved it. What I must say that uh, I used to be a physics student, but not the good one. But when you explain physics from your from social life and things around you, then you can easily understand what the concept is all about. So sincerely appreciated about the keynote speech. Then we had a wonderful speech by TTM Talha bin Hamid, and I can personally uh, 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 related because most of the time I have to travel back with him, and he usually does such kind of things. I love the way you delivered the whole speech. I didn't feel any filler words during your speech, and that's wonderful. And finally, the table topic session. Table topic session was quite amazing. I just wanted to give a disclaimer that I'm not color blind. I just got an idea from the first topic that when he asked that propose her in black or white. So I thought, why should uh, that person say that I'm a colorblind, so I don't believe in colors and all that. So I thought it could add a humor, but it reversed back. So it was quite amazing and engaging table topic session. Overall, I thoroughly loved the whole meeting. It was quite valuable, and I learned a lot about the theme, especially the theme, the black and white, uh, uh, and what DTM Iram said uh, uh, that sometimes we have to live in that gray area so that maybe the middle part, oh sorry, this the center means you're not towards extreme right or towards extreme left. The middle, the center way is the right way to deal with day-to-day dealings. Uh, Overall, a wonderful session. The only area of suggestion that if we could have more members so that we can uh, uh, allocate the rules individually, not means there are some people who are doing more than one role. So let's focus on one member, one role, so that we can make podium position in gamification as well. Overall, a wonderful meeting, and thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, everyone. Please quickly vote for the best big four, best big three in Quantum Leap's case. And Toastmaster Imran, you are the gamification chair. I mean, it should not be hard for Quantum Leap to win the gamification, if you know what I mean. Secondly, yes, we are four members in the meeting right now. We would certainly, I echo your sentiments here. Um, I absolutely love the way the keynote and the meeting theme and the table topics, I mean, even the speech, they were all serendipitously aligned. I don't know how that came to be, but it was divine to see. I mean, seriously, everything was so well connected as if it was planned that way, but it was not planned that way. So thank you. I think, and I think I witnessed a profound thought, lots of profound thoughts, by the way, uh, especially Sky, when you showed how White House looks from the outside versus what it's supposed, what is propagated as, and how you linked uh, your beautiful family and the emotions they experience with everything else that's going on. I always am a great fan of how you connect our own personal thoughts and experiences with the goings on in the universe. And that reinforces my belief. I happen to believe, rightly or wrongly, that everything is conscious. It has to be. I mean, that's the only way it makes sense. Uh, I also witnessed something amazing by Toastmaster Puram at the end of his table topic session that white is all the colors presence, black is not the lack of color but the lack of light, and gray is everything in between. So uh, even if we see black and white and gray, that does not mean that color cannot be present. Although now I'll go off on a tangent and in typical quantum leap fashion, I will burst everyone's bubble by saying that color is a construct of human consciousness. It does not necessarily exist in nature. We just see a tiny percentage of visible light. That's what we call visible light. See a tiny percentage of the spectrum, and what we consider as red, pink, yellow, blue, or green, they do not exist in nature. They exist here, right here in our minds. Uh, but okay, with that uplifting thought, I would first ask Sky for his comments about the meeting and thank him once again because he wins our special appreciation certificate for being the keynote speaker. So, what do you think about meetings?
Well, you said that you don't know how the table topics aligned with the keynote speech and the other pieces. Like I do know how they aligned. They synchronicity comes together.
Yeah.
We're all thinking, we're all sharing a multiverse, and the themes emerge together for us together. And that's what wholeness is, right? We're part of one whole system. So I love that that happens. And I do find, I came into the meeting and heard the topic black and white and thought to myself, I'm thinking of some questions in my life about is this situation going to go a certain way? Do I need to make a choice around this situation I'm dealing with really carefully, very black and white? Like, do I have to do it myself to take the initiative, or can I step back? And the gray meant a lot to me, being a little more fluid and not having to be controlling of my life. So I think the themes that show up in my life in this meeting and for each of you, these themes came together maybe in meaningful ways. It certainly is for me.
Indeed, we saw synchronicity unfold right before our eyes. And every time, and while I was in the meeting, I kept thinking back to your last keynote that you delivered for us, which was precisely about this. So yes, universe harmonizes, and we saw it harmonize today. Toastmasters.
I appreciate it, Aram, your leadership and your comments. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Srijita, your comments.
I'm in the middle of something at the moment. Can I come back in like?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Okay, we will first ask Toastmaster Danish Azmat and then Toastmaster Amra for their comments.
Yeah, actually, frankly speaking, I have learned a lot with this session. It is very informative, and it really gave me very meaningful insight. The way I have just come to know the way he sees the world. So I'm quite fascinating by hearing them out because it really gave me a new perspective to see the world. And it is one of the few opportunities in my life where I have got this opportunity to interact with such a distinguished people who have so learned and share their insight. So yeah, I'm very grateful and I thoroughly enjoyed Inside Out, and I'm looking forward to be a part of this session. And I'm thank you so very much for the Toastmaster Karachi Club for giving me this opportunity to be a part of it. So I thoroughly enjoyed. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Danish. Being a member of Karachi Toastmasters Club, since this club is a sort of a sister or slash daughter slash wholly owned slash subsidiary of Karachi Toastmasters Club, being co-founded by that, this means that Wordwise and Quantum Leap are open to members of Karachi Toastmasters Club and vice versa. Everyone right here can participate in Karachi Toastmaster Club's meetings. The, the club XCOM approves of this mutual participation. Toastmaster Amra, your thoughts?
Thank you so much, DTM Tala. Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for giving this opportunity. I would go that these sessions are always inspirational, and today I have found all the DTMs and TMs playing their role and giving me the lessons when I am going to play these roles sometime in future. What can I learn from them? So really, when if we talk about the keynote, Sky Nelson, and if we talk about DTM Iram Rizvi, who is always my inspiration, as I've earlier said, once said actually. And the speech from you, DTM Tala. I first time, interacted with the TM Khurram and really got inspired the way he put the table topics. So quite learning, quite, learningful, plus give you motivation that, of course, what I have, every session of, Toastmasters, if it is Karachi Toastmaster Club, where I'm the regular member, it gives a kind of, destination for the next, that you are doing this, and now you have to do the next thing this. And what I would like to share here, that self-doubt that you have for yourself have been starting disappearing, and this is what I'm loving about these experiences. So today's club and today's meeting is, the part of that journey. Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Amra. And yes, about the self-doubt thing, I know Toastmaster Danish, but you chickened out from one of the speeches earlier because apparently you were. But today, everyone could see you, even in an online setting, how confident you were. So that's the magic of Toastmasters. Toastmasters Prijita, if you could share your comments now.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for waiting. I cannot extol this meeting enough. And it has been an absolute delight to be here and to hear such interesting, brilliant, and thoughtful insights on colors and polarization and human nature and everything in between. And I am so dearly looking forward to being here again and then again. And yeah, thank you so much for the work all of you are doing. And you guys are inspirations. So
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmasters Prijita. It was amazing to have you as a sole representative of WordWise. By the way, I will have a word with WordWise members. Where were they today? But thank you. Oh no, I'm also a WordWise member. So yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So it was thoroughly, and I mean, I can't really believe every time whenever you come to a meeting, what you bring to a meeting. Absolutely. And I would like to highlight two champions here. Khurram Chishti, it's obscenely early in the morning for him, but look at his commitment. He is right here attending the meeting. And of course, DTM Iram, she is juggling
Yes.
so many things. Yeah.
I want to mention something. I watched the Champion Symphony panel discussion a few days ago, and
Right.
I was blown away by the 7 iterations rehearsal thing that she recommended. And I was also really in awe of how Toastmaster Tala, you were mentioned as the kingmaker and the champion maker of the entire district. So I'm so glad to meet both of you, and so glad to meet you, Toastmaster Khurram and Toastmaster Sky. Like all of you. I told you, you guys are inspirations.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just at the right place at the right time because in our last district contest, all first three places ended up going to the clubs, of which I was a VP education of. So I think that is a record that cannot be matched because no one is stupid enough to take three VP education posts at once. So absolutely, that will not be matched. By the way, that record of stupidity will not be matched, and therefore this top three podium finish will also not be matched. So
I am stunned by your humility because that is not a record of stupidity. That is a record of dedication, of commitment, of acknowledgement, of being able to recognize talent and so many more things. And you happen to pin it at stupidity. No, no, I disagree with that.
I've been very lucky and I've been very blessed. The other champion that I wish to recognize was DT Miram, of course. She's juggling to so much, yet she puts together the agenda. And you know what? That's why these two individuals are our national public speaking champions. Toastmaster Forum was in 2022, and DT Miram is our latest. That's what sets the champions apart. This level of commitment and dedication, something that we should all learn. So thank you so much, everyone. And now I'm announcing the results of the polls. So best table topics today goes to Toastmasters Srijita. Congratulations. Best major role player goes to Table Topics Master Toastmaster Kuram Tishti. Best speaker goes to me, being the only speaker and having met the time. Best evaluator goes to Toastmaster Latif. So, and of course, our special appreciation goes to Toastmaster Sky Nelson. Another sign of dedication right there. You could plainly see why Sky Nelson is who he is because of his dedication and his passion. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm stopping the